Hello and welcome everybody. It is Friday. What is it? February 4th. Unbelievable. The first month of 2022 is already in the books. And Josh, it's been a doozy.
Yes, it has. Yeah. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you.
Thank you for the invite back. Excited. I've got some really cool topics and questions in the hopper, but yeah, thanks for having me back, man. I'm excited to be here.
I love talking with you.
We got this thing started last week, and it was sort of episode one of this long forum type discussion. And I feel like I failed the listeners somewhat. I should have started at the very top, and I wanted to maybe back myself up and give you the chance to, as you mentioned, we're here in February. I could have caught your thoughts in January on just where we're at. I mean, we've seen many month over month of increased inflation, the crypto hype, the NFT hype, stock market seems to be getting a little shaky. I just maybe do a broad sort of casted blanket here and get a little bit on, where are we at? You have any bold predictions of what we could expect this year? Just kind of get a temperature check on, Richard's hot seat rant.
Well, I think that the biggest underlying structural change in the markets is inflation and is the long-term interest rates beginning to rise instead of falling as they've been for the past 40 years. I think that the Federal Reserve has delayed that change from happening by all of the interventions and all of the, what's the word I'm looking for? The support isn't exactly the right word, but the Fed put, if you will, preventing markets from going down because that's bad for people's 401ks, et cetera, trying to keep the economy going. So there's been just unprecedented intervention. And I think that's finally not tenable anymore. And I think that's why you're starting to see inflation really talked about a lot more. And it's kind of getting away from the Fed. The ECB came out yesterday and the Bank of England came out yesterday, very hawkish on inflation, saying, yeah, this is a new game that we're in right now. And so I think that's true. There are really cathartic, structural tectonic changes going on in the markets right now. And that is going to increase volatility. And it's an adjustment process that everybody has to go through. But I do think that's what's happening. Hard to say where we're at with the stock market right now in terms of whether or not we've seen at least a temporary bottom from the sell-off into late January. Had some of the hallmarks of a significant bottom, but I think there's still a lot of uncertainty, a lot of questions, and a lot of narratives that are starting to percolate up green shoots that people haven't really come to terms with yet. So
talking about this newness and some of the unknown and what's to come, I wanted to maybe try to make this parallel and see if you could work with me on this. But I read this quote maybe a Sunday or Monday of this week, where Napoleon's definition of military genius is the man who can do the average thing when everyone else around him is losing their mind. And I'm under the impression it's the exact same in investing. Your lifetime returns are almost exclusively determined on how you act or how you react in times like this. And so I wanted to maybe just get your thoughts on what could we be doing or help us sort of remove the emotion of this portion, right? Even a little bit of decline hurts. Help us fight that reptilian brain, if that question makes sense.
Well, I think that if you are thinking 5 years ahead, you're going to be in the minority, right? Everybody losing their minds. You do get into a reactive situation. And really, this is the biggest thing that I've learned over my life as an investor is how to put myself in a position where I don't have to be reactive. So that has to do with, how much money you have in the markets, how likely, how much volatility you're likely to have to put up with, right? And whether you can stomach it or not, right? So you have to be clear about your time horizon. And if you're a 5-year or 10-year time horizon, you're actually excited right now because things are coming down in price, right? And you have a chance to buy things at lower prices. Now, got to be careful with that. Don't want to just anchor on the high prices that we've seen recently, right? Just because Facebook was, I don't know, what was it, 25% higher yesterday doesn't mean it's a bargain today. Okay, that's a big thing. But I think, looking ahead a little bit, making sure that you understand your time horizon and not getting caught up in all of the drama that's going on right now.
Depending on that time horizon and what you're investing for, if you do have that 5, 10, 15-year horizon you're looking at, I read a quote in a newsletter this morning that said, all past market declines now look like market opportunities. It's like when you're looking back, the declines look like market opportunities, but when you see a dip that you're currently in, it feels like chaos, right? And I think that's an interesting way to look at it is, in the future, looking back on this, if you have a long-term horizon, this dip is an opportunity to stay the course, invest more, buy at a lower cost. I think there's opportunity to be aggressive here.
I've been saying for months now, that I was lightening up on my own positions, that I thought this kind of event could happen and that I wanted to have some powder dry.
Totally.
I'll tell you, I'm not backing up the truck right now. I do think that somewhere in 2022, we're going to see lower lows than what we've seen right now. But I am not out of the market by any stretch. Like, don't get me wrong that I'm like trying to time a market bottom here. I'm in the market with what I'm comfortable with right now, holding for several years. And I'm out of the market with what I'm not comfortable with, over the next year. And I'm looking for a better opportunity than what we see today.
You mentioned Facebook in your last answer.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're at and what they've experienced, I would be insane not to spend a little bit of time in their spot or in that news cycle. Facebook reported in the last couple of days that Reality Lab division, the division that houses all of their metaverse focused projects, generated $2.27 billion in 2021, a net loss of $10.19 billion. Meta's CFO then goes out and says that this is exactly what they are expecting, this operating loss, that he expects increase meaningfully, expects the operating losses to increase meaningfully this year. Meta's stock fell 26% yesterday, 32% in the last 6 months. I'm just curious, the losses, this drop seems to be attached to the Reality Lab division announcement. I'm just curious if you had, any other drivers here, any things to elaborate on? Should we just dogpile on these guys for the next 60 seconds?
I think Facebook's in big trouble. I think the biggest issue was that their user growth is down. I think more and more people are realizing that Facebook really isn't delivering them the value that they should be getting in exchange for spending time on the platform. I think that Zuckerberg has lied to his users, and I don't think he's telling the truth. And I think people are getting tired of these, non-transparent algorithmic atrocities that we really aren't in control of our own lives. So there's better options out there. People are gathering around, decentralization, and they're building new communities. And I don't think people really need Facebook anymore. And so I think the whole metaverse thing is kind of a desperate attempt to distract and pretend that there's some future. But who wants to spend their life in Zuckerberg's metaverse when you don't even want to spend it with them on Facebook? It's crazy. And besides that, the metaverse, as conceived by Zuckerberg, is a big game. And games are fun, but they're not life. Okay. So we're not going to move into the metaverse. It's not going to happen. We're not going to all start wearing our Oculus headsets and, having endless joy for all in the metaverse. No, no, I guarantee it. It's not going to happen. Don't
I
invest in it.
I I think we decided a dogpile. That's I wanted I'm sort of guiding us towards this. I don't know if you saw Vitalik's post this week. I want to spend several minutes there, but I figured a good bridge to get there would be last week. We spoke a little bit about our security concerns as we head towards decentralization, as we head towards Web3, and that field seems to be emerging. 2 days ago, we witnessed as a community, we had the opportunity to witness the world's second largest crypto hack ever, the biggest on the Solana's network. I'll break this down for just 60 seconds if you don't mind, and then I'll ask if you have any feedback on this. But
okay.
The short of this is Wormhole Portal is a blockchain platform that helps people transfer between Solana and Ethereum. It's been around since about August. Wednesday, the Wormhole team goes down for maintenance. About an hour later, they announced that they had been exploited or that they had been hacked. 120,000 wrapped Ethereum was stolen from that, which is $325 million in value. I bring this up. I mean, obviously, I would love to see if you had anything that you wanted to add on the security sort of caution space we head down this road. And if not, I think it's at least important to call out that we are future tellers, man, and we should be paid more money because we called this last week.
Yeah, I think that a lot of this kind of multi-chain technology that's being developed, moving from one chain to another, it adds a lot of different points of vulnerability, right? In terms of where something can go wrong. Who are these wormhole guys? I have no idea, right? I mean, I have some faith in Ethereum, I have some faith in Solana, but now I need something to transfer back and forth between those two. And who's that third party, right? So I think I have some skepticism about this kind of multi-chain, passing back and forth between chains world. All of those different, transaction points are, I think, points of vulnerability. And I think that's exactly what we just saw. And so I'm not convinced that this multi-chain, universe that is, being developed right now is ultimately going to solve the big problems that DeFi really needs to solve.
The build up, and I'm going to need more than 60 seconds to unpack this question, but a few days ago, and I'm even going to try to share my screen and we'll see how all this publishes. And if it doesn't look good, we won't do it again.
All right.
But can you see this Soulbound?
Yes.
Awesome. This was posted by Vitalik, and obviously that's the creator, founder of Ethereum. I've told this story on your show in the past on how the Ethereum creation was heavily influenced by World of Warcraft, which I think is hilarious. Vitalik on this post, you can see in the very first sentence, has another idea that is pulled right out of the World of Warcraft world. And this is called Soulbound. And in World of Warcraft, you are able to earn items after you go on these giant quests. And the only way to earn those items is to complete certain missions, quests, things of that nature. You cannot buy, sell, trade those specific items. So the only way to get there is to complete the mission. As you guys know, and as we've talked about many times, Richard, there are utilities within the NFT world. They have the ability to buy, sell, trade NFTs. Vitalik's idea here is if we could create a more soulbound-like NFT, and he makes the argument that the NFTs today are strictly based off of signaling, and he gives some stats in here. That's today the CryptoPunk world is selling for millions of dollars per per NFT.
Mhm.
The idea here is if we could create some sort of, he gives the example of a POAP, a proof of attendance protocol. I pulled up their website here. The idea is if you're able to attend a conference or you attend a class and you complete the certification, they would
Mhm.
ship you a token and you keep it in your wallet. Here's
Mhm.
Vitalik's wallet over the last 3 or 4 years.
Mhm.
These are tradable. In
Mhm.
fact, I read that Adidas did a POAP just a few weeks ago for a special merchandise launch, and so they gave special folks within their network access to these coins. And as you can imagine, the second they got access, they put them out for purchase, and the higher bidder got access to the merch. The idea here is if you could create a soul bound NFT, something that you had to truly prove your work, that you completed the course, that you completed the class, that you went the full course. Some examples that he has in this blog post here: your college degree, your driver's license, social security number. As you know, last week I got my AWS certification. If you got your vaccine, all of these things could be stamped with approval with a soul bound NFT, and then you are digitally trackable, and it keeps things out of, I think those nurses a couple days ago got in trouble for making fake vaccine cards, or folks all the time make fake driver's license in college. And so having a soul-bound NFT that is attached to you digitally, that can be sort of checked and balanced on the back end. Super interesting idea. I've gone through this post and probably butchered most of this. And so I will send you the link and you can unpack it even further. But at a first pass, I'm just curious, do you have any feedback, ideas, initial reactions?
Yeah, look, something like this is inevitable. It's coming. Um, I'm an investor in DigiMe, which I've mentioned a couple of times in my writings, but this is the kind of thing that they do. This is like digital identity and digital personhood, right? We don't really have that online right now. We don't have digital personhood. We're living in other people's, walled gardens, part of us over here, part of us over there, et cetera. So I think that things are definitely going in this direction. I find the term soul bound to be, I would say terrifying, but I think it's actually just preposterous. I think it's more of, Vitalik imagining that he's God, just like Mark, Zuckerberg thinks he's God and create the metaverse, and maybe Tim Cook thinks he's God and can provide endless joy for all. No, nothing in the digital world is going to be part of your soul. Okay. You don't want your soul in the digital world. You don't. That's not where the soul lives. You don't get soul in the digital world, right? I mean, even if we just take soul as something sort of human, think of music, right? And Motown and soul music, right? Something's got to happen between people live for soul to be present. So you do not want your soul bound in Vitalik's, Ethereum world computer. That's not where I want my soul bound. Okay. So I think this is more just like delirium on the part of these tech entrepreneurs who have been so wildly successful that they think that they're now going to, create a new world for all of us. We don't need a new world. Technology is a tool. The metaverse is a tool. It can be a form of entertainment too. Okay, that's fine, but it's just entertainment. It's not some new evolutionary quantum leap that we're all going to leave our bodies and have this disembodied life in the metaverse. If that's where you think this is going, put the brakes on, man, because you don't want to go there. Trust me. We have to remember technology is a tool. It's a tool for us to use. Right now, it's mostly using us. And if you buy into having your soul bound in the digital world, or that you're going to live in Zuckerberg's metaverse, then you really need to take a step back and find your soul somewhere else.
I would be curious. That's Vitalik's sort of future thinking. And obviously NFTs, I think 80% of NFTs are traded on the Ethereum blockchain right now. So I would think that he's got some biases here on the NFT community. I wanted to see if maybe you've put any cycles yourself into where this is headed. A couple days ago on my own podcast, I interviewed this guy, Jordan Schuster. He's a NFT guru. And we talked about how in January, the global movie industry saw $482 million in sales, 482 million. Just Bored Apes. So Bored Ape Yacht Club plus Mutant Yacht Club. Those are two NFT groups. Just those two combined did more than $495 million in January. They exceeded the global movie industry. OpenSea, if you look at the whole platform, which is definitely the most dominant NFT trading platform at the moment, saw more than $5 billion traded in NFTs in January. We talked a little bit about where they currently sit, their status today. If you want to share a little bit about that, great. I'm more curious if you've spent some time doing what Vitalik's done here and where this could go, or do you see this falling off a cliff in 6, 9, 12, 18 months? Like, is it going nowhere?
It's definitely going to fall off a cliff. So when you have, I don't know if you saw this, but Jimmy Fallon and Paris Hilton comparing their Bored Apes, on late night TV, it was one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen as an American. It's like, oh, my country does some unbelievably stupid things, and putting a couple of celebrities up there who can afford to buy these Bored Apes and then like adoring them and comparing them, it's so beneath us. So NFTs are real. Okay, NFTs have to do with digital sovereignty, control over digital assets uniquely. Most of what's going on in the NFT world today is absolutely nuts. It's full of fraud. It's, we saw on OpenSea that most of their stuff is fraud. And so you have this kind of circus of charlatans who are trying to make a buck off of something that's real. That happens in these kind of Wild West phases of new technologies. NFTs are real. There's a long way to go before they become an integral part of our economic lives. I do think they will. And I would ignore 95% of what's happening in the NFT world today.
I had a couple other crypto related questions, but I think we'll punt them to next week so we don't dogpile on these guys too hard. I'm past my 30-minute mark. As always, man, I look forward to my Fridays and aggregating these questions to get your expertise, man. So I really, really appreciate the opportunity.
It's great talking with you, Josh. And I do just want to end on the note that I am a believer in NFTs. So yes, I'm dogpiling. I'm not dogpiling on NFTs. I'm dogpiling on all of the craziness and nonsense of people trying to make a quick buck, and something that is going to ultimately be around 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Goes back to our opening point. What do you do when everybody's losing their mind around you? The person who does the average thing uses a little common sense. They're incredible opportunities, but man, you really have to have some discernment and not get caught up in, ultimately what amounts to get rich quick thinking. Right? There are deep, profound opportunities right now. If you just scratch the surface, you'll see that almost everything coming at you is an offer to get rich quick. So if you can just get past thinking about getting rich quick and use your soul, your intelligence to actually keep your head while everybody else around them is losing theirs, right? It's also from Khalil Gibran, the prophet, right? That's where you're going to find the opportunities. So have a great week. Thanks, everybody, and see you next week.